One of questions. We go to the second round. We will have to abbreviate this second round with one slot for each party, as per usual. So we'll start with Mr. Lloyd. 5
Thank
minutes,
you.
please.
And what we all want is clarity here. So in the minister's testimony just previous to you coming here, he said it was your idea to release the information about the guns, that it came from yourself. Is that the truth?
Well, that was part of it. In that particular example where I explained that I got a request if the guns were going to be included, I was also asking about the guns in previous conversations with my comms team.
But you independently decided that it would be helpful for the information about the guns to be released.
We talked about various chunks of information. We talked about when the victims' names were going to be released, the crime scenes, when they were the different crime scenes, a chronology, about the replica police car. We talked about being proactive because every time we did a media release, our comms folks will do a scan of what is out there, and that will tell us what we should do next.
The minister said you told the deputy minister, Robert Stewart, and his chief of staff, Zita Astroves, that you wanted to release the information about the guns. Is that the truth? That's what the minister just said before this committee.
First, it was the question that I got from the minister's office was if the guns were to be released. Getting into the details of what was going to be released in the media, in that media event, was not discussed at all with Nova Scotia.
So are you saying it was not your idea to release information about the guns?
No, it was actually the people on the ground.
It was the Nova Scotia RCMP that decided that the guns needed to be released.
So what happens is, as I explained before, there was multiple types of information. So when we could release information, it would be released.
So on April 23rd, you were part of an email chain where CERT said, this information is only to be released internally. And you told the Prime Minister's office and the Minister's office that this was only for internal distribution. Just 5 days later, you were on a call with your staff, and you said, why was this information not included in the public media availability? During those 5 days, did you receive any emails or confirmations from CERT that this information should now be released publicly?
No, that information that we got was not, there was no intention to release the detail of that information. That was very detailed information. There was no intention to release that. All we were looking at to be proactive is the number of weapons and the general types of weapons. That's the information we were looking at, and that was the questions I was getting asked from the media. I myself was curious as to why that was not happening.
But the staff on the ground were worried that this could compromise an ongoing investigation. Why would just the number of weapons and the general type of weapons have any impact on the investigation?
It wouldn't.
So then why would your staff be concerned?
And it was released.
Well, it wasn't released till quite some time later, the specific details.
No, it was released in the Q&A of that media
Very
event.
general information,
Yeah, and
handgun
that's all we
and
were
assault
looking at.
weapon.
That's all we were looking for.
That's all you were looking for.
Just the general information, the number of weapons and the general type of weapons. It wasn't, the details that you saw in that email, there was no question that that was not, that information was not to be released, and it was even caveated as such.
Now, in your transcript, you continually reference, you talk about the minister's office, but you also talk about the minister, and you said you have a request to have a call from the minister. You know what it's going to be about. What was that call with the minister about?
Well, there was a few requests that had not been completed, like the chronology. I pride myself on giving the correct information. I pride myself on giving information in a timely manner. So if I say to you, Mr. Lloyd, that I'm going to give you information tomorrow by 4 o'clock, I'm expecting to have the information tomorrow by 4 o'clock. If I don't get you the information by 4 o'clock, I'm going to phone you up and say, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't get you the information.
And that's the same for when you commit that information is going to be shared publicly at a media release? That is the same thing?
No, it was, yeah, when the minister asked if that information, the minister's office asked if that information was going to be part of the media event, I have no idea. I'm not controlling the media event. I talked to my comms people go to the comms people on the ground. They told me, yes, in fact, the general details about the weapons would be included. I tell them it will be included. They're probably, in my mind, what I'm thinking is they're preparing for when they're in front of the media, that they will be, in fact, be able to talk about that once it's released, because until it's released by us, they could not talk about it.
And, thank you, Mr. Chair. So you were frustrated because you had to do this multiple times with the minister in his office. There was multiple times that there was information that was incorrectly given because, as you said, you pride yourself on giving people the correct information, and that was the reason why you had to call the minister and that you were upset about having to talk to the minister again, saying that you had dropped the ball again.
I wasn't upset.
Not with your
To
staff
clarify.
necessarily, upset
No,
with
and I
yourself,
wasn't-
you were saying.
No, and I was frustrated with the information that I wasn't getting as well. That was what the meeting was about. Yes, in fact, there was times when the minister didn't get the information, but there was more times that I didn't get the information. And the flow of information was not the usual speed and pace and flow. We usually get a rhythm going. There was no rhythm
Thank you,
in the
Commissioner.
flow of information.
you.
And that's why I called the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd. We'll go now to Mr. Nur Mohammed, please, 5 minutes.